midnight screams.
Have you ever encountered an SCP? It's a rare thing, I bet. Me? I've probably lost count. Because you see, my day job is to resolve incidents involving them. I booted up my computer, full of excitement, the opposite of what most people feel on the first day of a work week. It wasn't strange, really. I was just fired up to have landed a probationary position at the Home Safety Hotline, or HSH, a company famous not only for its excellent service, but also for how notoriously difficult it was to become an employee. The computer screen flickered to life, greeting me with 2 emails. One confirmed my position as an HSH call operator and named my direct supervisor for the trial week, Carol Reginald. The other email informed me that a few internal videos had appeared on the desktop due to a storage system error. It must have been referring to the video titled Television Commercial, TMV. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it. Learning more about the company I was working for couldn't be a bad thing, after all. It was nothing special, just a standard commercial outlining potential household hazards like fires, floods, mold, bedbugs. But wait, what was this? Mutation? The illustration was grotesque, like some pervert lurking in a dark corner. Did they mean homeless people or burglars breaking in? Or was this a mistake by the video editors? That seemed likely. It was probably why they never used this ad and just threw it into the internal archives. Shaking off the pointless questions, I launched the call software. The HSH Safety Hotline logo appeared, followed by a clock-in button, just as you'd expect from a famous company. Even clocking in was digitized. Smiling, proud of myself, I clocked in and began my work. The software interface was quite simple. A window for the caller's info, a panel for the searchable database, and the largest section to display the content of the selected file. It was immediately clear how to use it. I appreciated the company's simple yet professional approach. But why were so many entries in the database inaccessible? What if someone called about one of these locked topics, and I had nothing to give them? As I pondered this, a call came in. It was my boss, Carol Reginald. The software didn't just show the call, it displayed the caller's photo and even transcribed their speech in real time. Unbelievable. A perfect 10. The call was mostly congratulations and a reintroduction to my duties. It seemed that whenever I answered a client, or rather, sent a solution to a client, my boss would also be checking my response. Right, I was still on probation, so if a question came up that wasn't in the database, she would probably help me out. That set my mind at ease. Time to get to it. First, a quick look at the data. For now, the entries were pretty standard. Mice, roaches, flies, spiders, even weasels, moles, and guinea pigs. These pests were easy enough to identify. And then, my first client called. His name was John, and he was complaining about something scattered around his kitchen that looked like coffee grounds. I put him on hold. It didn't take long to search the company database for the cause. It seemed he had a cockroach nest in his kitchen. Their droppings looked just like coffee grounds. As someone who loathes cockroaches, I confidently sent the client his answer. So long, roaches. I hope you burn in hell. The second call came in. A lovely young woman named Grace was wondering about strange noises from her attic that were keeping her up at night. She was so polite, and the way she described the sounds was just adorable. Okay, focus. Don't get sidetracked. From the clues Grace provided, attic, old house, a key sound, I immediately guessed the culprit. Rats. What else could it be? But as a gentleman dedicated to helping the fairer sex, I still checked all the audio recordings in the database. After comparing the rat sounds with Grace's description a few times, and being 100% certain, I sent her the answer, along with a wish for a good night's sleep. A woman as beautiful and kind as her deserved a full night's rest. The third client was a gruff guy named Hank. Understandable, as it seemed he had called last week without getting a useful answer, and now his garden was full of dirt mounds. You just have to put up with people who take their anger out on you. That's the life of a call center operator. I quickly sent him the answer. Moles. Hopefully he could solve his problems soon and not affect my performance review. Another client called after Hank. A man named Rock Cement asked nothing, just rambled on about his refrigerator. Probably a wrong number. The only thing was, his avatar picture looked bizarre, maybe a connection error or something. While I was still trying to figure that out, the last client, a man named Tim, demanded I provide a lawn mowing service because his kids were sick and couldn't do it, and now his yard looked like a rainforest. For God's sake, this wasn't a gardening company. None of the response options were relevant. I hesitated for a while before sending what looked like the most plausible answer. I hope he finds the right company next time. My shift ended with an accuracy score of 75%. Not too bad, but I'd have to try harder if I wanted to pass probation. Come on, me! Day 2 of probation. The first thing that caught my eye was a strange email. The grammar and spelling were all messed up, but I could still make out the message. It was basically warning me to quit immediately because this company was dangerous. Just someone's idea of a prank, surely. After clocking in, my boss greeted me with the same bright smile and announced that more data had been unlocked for me. She also reminded me that this information was top secret and must not be shared. I snorted. What could be in there? God-tiered tricks for getting rid of roaches, ants, and mice for good? If so, at least I could use them at my own place. My house had been having some strange issues lately that I couldn't get to the root of. I took the opportunity to browse the new data. Some rare fungi. And what was this? Bed teeth? Grows on unhygienic beds? What the hell? As I was wondering if I'd misread, a call came through. A guy named Mike, sniffling and coughing, asked if there was something wrong with his ventilation system because he was constantly having allergy-like symptoms. No need to ask, my friend. You're demonstrating it all over the phone. I put him on hold and searched. Luckily, the answer was right at the top of the list. Black mold. Appears in damp places and causes symptoms like allergies. Without hesitation, I sent Mike the answer. Hope your runny nose gets better soon, buddy. With no calls coming in, I continued reading the new files. Carbon monoxide, or CO. A dangerous, colorless, odorless gas. Fatal if inhaled over a long period. Common knowledge. And what in the world? Ceiling fungus? Grows on the ceiling, causing it to swell and produce sounds like dripping water or strange lights. Does this thing actually exist? A call came in. It was Hank from yesterday. He cursed me out, because not only did I not provide a lawn service, but I sent him some useless information. and now his whole family was coughing and in terrible pain. "Thanks a lot, you bastard." Being yelled at, all I could do was force a confident smile to suppress the simmering anger. I kept looking through the data to see if there was anything else interesting, and holy shit. Chimney swallows! What the hell was this now? There was a whole series of files on a creature called a hob, a tiny faceless being that lives in houses. There were common hobs, drawer hobs. Common hobs appear at night and eat dirt and grime. Drawer hobs have a habit of rearranging items in the drawers where they hide. They aren't dangerous unless provoked, in which case they'll play tricks or even shapeshift. You could befriend them with a bowl of milk and some breadcrumbs. I was seriously starting to doubt my knowledge of the natural world. Suddenly, another call. A woman named Hunan asked if I knew about a type of burglar who breaks in just to clean the house. Well, speak of the devil. I was reading about exactly what she was describing. The answer was common hob. I just hope she doesn't have an existential crisis after reading the answer like I was having right now. While searching for Hunan's answer, I'd finished reading the new files. There were more types of hobs, like crack hobs and pipe hobs, and also fungus similar to the ceiling fungus but growing in pipes, causing them to swell up as if pregnant and eat anything that falls in. Then there were stair slugs, slugs the size of a dog that live on staircases or in basements. And the most shocking of all, false mandrakes, creatures that disguise themselves as root vegetables. If eaten, they'll nest inside a person's stomach with no way to remove them. Still horrified by what I'd just read, I was interrupted by a call from someone named B. Slicer. Just like Rock yesterday, this person's face was strangely distorted on the system. The call was just more nonsensical, rambling, so I was sure it was another prank caller. The next two clients were fine. One had his bed gnawed on by rats, and the other kept hearing rustling sounds in the walls from a nest of carpenter ants. It was only the last client, D, who screamed into my ear, accusing some colleague of moving things around in his bookshelf. What a nasty piece of work. And since I didn't know the cause of his problem, maybe it really was his colleague, I just sent a random answer to get it over with. I couldn't be bothered with people like him. My workday ended with an accuracy score of 80%. Better than yesterday, but the things I'd read kept replaying in my mind, even after I got home. The third day of probation did not start well. I hadn't slept soundly, plagued by dreams of what I'd read the day before, leaving me feeling sluggish and weary today. That damned prankster wasn't done yet, and had sent me another email. This time, it was a picture of a wall, like inside some room, boasting that this was his new place. "I don't know who you are, but I swear if I ever get my hands on you." A new video appeared on the screen. I opened it, hoping it would help me forget about that idiot. I wasn't sure how old it was, but it was an ad for apartments for sale. Large, beautiful, spacious apartments, and of course, with sky-high prices. For a salaried guy like me, who knew how long it would take to afford one. But the last house made me freeze. 5 beds, 6 bathrooms, 2,800 square feet. But for only $12,000? How could it be so cheap? Other than being covered in overgrown plants that made it look abandoned, a house for practically nothing. I had no idea where it could be. The reason this video was probably archived was that it was interrupted by a missing person report for a boy named Roby Parker. I hope the kid just wandered off and wasn't taken by some creature. A clown in a sewer, for instance. I clocked in and, as usual, got a call from my boss informing me about the newly unlocked data, along with a strict prohibition on disclosing this information. Yeah. If I did that, people would think I was crazy, and maybe I really was going crazy. The first file that caught my eye was an image of what looked like a pervert lurking in a dark corner. I recognized it immediately. It was the last thing from that commercial I watched on my first day. Turns out it wasn't an editor's mistake. That thing was real, and it was called a boogeyman. Boogeymen are mutations from Hobbes that have been provoked by the homeowner. They are extremely dangerous and will attack if discovered by a human. I was stunned by this new discovery. So, everything I read yesterday was real. Could such bizarre and monstrous things truly exist in our homes? The ringing of an incoming call jolted me back to reality. A man named David urgently reported some creature the size of a dog lurking on the stairs leading down to his basement. Luckily, he hadn't decided to play the main character in a horror movie and investigate it himself, but had called HSH first. As soon as I heard the clues, size of a dog, basement, stairs, my brain immediately jumped to a creature from the database I read yesterday, the one that had haunted my dreams, the stair slug. I quickly pulled up its file and was 100% certain that's what David was describing. I sent him the result immediately. Though I was still trying to deny it, I was leaning more and more toward the possibility that all the creatures and phenomena in this database were real. Another call came in. It was Dan from yesterday. He was screaming that it wasn't his colleague and that the thing he saw was getting bigger, and why didn't I warn him? The call cut off mid-sentence, as if Dan had been devoured by that thing. I hoped that wasn't the case, but at this point, I was sure everything in this database was real, and they could truly harm people if not handled correctly. A man named Quade called, distressed because the image of his late wife was slowly fading from his memory. I quickly found a creature that matched his symptoms, a memory sprite. They are invisible and gradually steal a homeowner's memories. Quade must have been haunted by one. H5 called because his bedsheets had grown sharp things that were cutting his feet and making him itch. I immediately thought of bed teeth and sent him the information. Remember to wash your bedding properly. The last client of the day was Harry, who called to curse me out about the answer he'd received previously. Placing a bowl of milk in the house? It seems he hadn't bothered, and now his house was constantly breaking down. The wiring was destroyed, and he'd spent a fortune on repairs. This time, it was clear as day. This guy had a hob, and instead of following the instructions to befriend it, he had provoked it, causing it to turn into a boogeyman. I despise these ignorant, stubborn types the most, which made me wonder if I should send him the wrong answer. But remembering what happened to poor Dan, I decided to save his life. The day ended with a promising score of 83.3%, but the truth about my job and the things in the database left me feeling deeply uneasy. Even a prank call from a guy named Fred Pinball couldn't make me angry. I just wanted to go home and sleep deeply enough to forget everything that had happened. Dan, I'll try to forget you. You should forget me too. I noticed something strange when I started my computer. Among the usual startup lines, there was one that read, checking human DNA. How the hell could this machine do that? Weren't the bizarre things I'd been reading enough? I hadn't slept a wink last night and was feeling very unwell. Was applying to this company a mistake? Another new video appeared. This one was about a newly discovered species of rat with a much more developed brain, capable of practicing communication. Scientists had even analyzed the squeaks of these intelligent rats and translated them into a message. Save me. Just some nonsense from bored scientists. They probably meant, please save me from these crazy doctors. I started work and got another call from my boss. There was nothing different, except for the strange way she used pronouns at the end. Was she from the medieval era or something? Today's first client was a man named Ash. He suspected a problem with his pipes was contaminating his water, making him sick with unbearable stomach pains. He was certain it wasn't the food, as he only ate vegetables he grew himself. Well, old man, you've hit the jackpot. It's not the water. You've probably eaten a false mandrake, and it's now nesting in your stomach. Being too healthy isn't always a good thing. Now go out to the garden and get used to the smell of dirt, because according to the database, this parasite is incurable. Next was an old woman named Felicia, advised by the police to call because she kept feeling like she was being watched by someone with wheezing breath at night. The police were helpless, so she had to turn to HSH. Lucky for her, I was starting to see the pattern here. Nothing was ever normal. The stalker was probably some bizarre creature hiding in her house. Let's see. In today's updated data, the closest match was the night gnome, which has a habit of watching homeowners sleep with a wheezing breath. Harmless, but anyone with a heart condition should be careful not to get a shock if they happen to see it. I hope that wasn't her case. Then, a woman called, crying because her son had suddenly disappeared. The last time she saw him was when she was checking a closet for bees or something similar, as the boy kept hearing a buzzing sound coming from it. Well, ma'am, have you considered calling the police again? If this were me 3 days ago, I would have thought the same. But now, it was no surprise that her son's disappearance was due to some mysterious creature. I suddenly remember the missing person report for Roby Parker from that real estate video. I guessed he'd been eaten by something like a false rose bush. According to the data updated this morning, they disguise themselves as rose bushes and hunt anything smaller than them within their territory. As for the woman on the phone, I searched and found a likely culprit, a mimic object. It emits a bee-like buzzing sound that only children can hear and will trap its victims inside, slowly digesting them over several years. I hope that with the information I sent, she'll find her son before he starves to death in the monster's belly. God damn it! Another prank call from some guy named G. Robber, rambling about his soda. I hope you choke on it. Another client named Jackie called. I vaguely remember her problem was that after a Christmas vacation, her house was accumulating more and more dirt from an unknown source, and grass had started to grow everywhere. I don't remember what answer I sent her. The only lasting impression was that she called back and said what I sent was useless. Her house was still overgrown with grass. Then the call was abruptly cut off because she saw something moving in the grass. It didn't seem friendly, and it appeared to be moving towards her. All right then. Whatever you are, thanks for saving me from another complaint. That's all I remember from that workday. Lack of sleep and headache resulted in a poorer score, 77.8%. But I didn't care anymore. I needed a sleeping pill, right now. That vandal sent me a new email. It seems he'd been discovered and had to move. Go live with the rats, you scum! Additionally, another email informed me that I had to work the next 2 days, the weekend. What the hell? Exploiting probationary employees too? Do you people know I haven't slept in days? And as if in tune with my foul mood, the first client of the day, scared and angry, reported a demon-worshipping cult in her shed, evidenced by a mass of overgrown plants oozing some black substance. Makes sense. According to the data, what was growing in her shed was a corpse creeper, which grows from a human body. This thing first kills its host, and the denser it grows, the greater the risk of the house collapsing. Those houses must have to be sold off at rock-bottom prices. And just as I predicted, the new data updated today was filled with things far more demonic and horrific. Self-moving puppets, wardrobes that turn into inescapable labyrinths, spiders that eat homeowners' dreams, dog-faced humanoids called kobolds that lure people into their territory and attack. Honestly, maybe I should go live on a mountain or hide in a hole to be safe. A woman named Pamela called, complaining that the security system she bought from us was useless because she still heard faint singing from her greenhouse every night. I sighed and went straight to the data on mimic flowers. They hide in flower pots, pretending to be normal plants, only occasionally emitting faint singing. They sound harmless, but if you try to throw them away or uproot them, they can spray an acid-like fluid that causes blindness. Well, with all these demons and monsters, the HSH response team must have skills on par with security personnel. And once again, some jobless idiot called to waste my time. But this time, something new happened. Just as I finished a string of curses in my head, the other end of the line suddenly went strangely silent. Don't tell me I'm developing superpowers. My boss called right after and assured me that the prank caller would no longer be a nuisance. Right, okay, back to work. A distraught father pleaded for help because his daughter had been pulled underground by some sort of tentacles. A serious situation, but my condolences, because he didn't call us sooner. His daughter was definitely dragged away by floor roots. According to what I read, they grow slowly, but if not removed early, they will wrap around sleeping children or pets and use them as support to grow, like vines. By now, his daughter was probably in Alice's Wonderland. A girl named Helen called with a blurred avatar, crying hysterically because she no longer had a sense of self, couldn't even remember her own face. That must be why her avatar was blurry. The cause was easy to guess. I'd read about mirror fairies days ago. Mischievous, human-shaped beings that hold a large mirror where their face should be. The mirror is how they steal their victim's identity, making them forget their own face. The last client I remember was an older woman asking about things like doors that kept inviting her to step through. They made her feel strangely comfortable and she just wanted to go inside. Ah, don't be curious, lady, or you might never come back. The database mentioned cases of strange doors appearing that lead to a space different from the house, usually in basements or similar places. These doors are very dangerous to the house and its owner and must be walled off as soon as they are discovered. Those were all the clients I remember from that day. The others, for some reason, seemed to have been wiped clean, as if someone had hit delete in my brain. But at least, that day was my highest achievement, 100%. It felt like someone was looking out for me. The answers just appeared so quickly, I didn't even need to search. Was this a sign of a bright future to come? I chose to believe so. I went to work in a strange mood. I hadn't slept at all, despite taking enough sleeping pills to knock out an elephant, but I didn't feel tired in the slightest. On the contrary, I arrived at HSH very early, feeling as if something was pushing me, calling me there. Thanks to being early, I had time to glance at the new video that had appeared. It was about Thunder Mountain, a hiking spot famous for its beautiful scenery, but also for its difficulty and the necessary preparations for the journey. First, hiking boots. Second, water. Third, an iron sword. And finally, climbing gloves. I've never climbed this mountain, but after everything I've been through these past few days, I was no longer surprised to see a sword on the list of necessary equipment. What for? To defend yourself when passing through a cave on the way up the mountain, of course. The video explained it very carefully. The only problem would be getting it past the security guards. I also felt nothing when my boss's way of speaking sounded like a medieval witch. And finally, the entire database had been updated. Let's see. Zombies. Walking corpses that leave a foul stench in the owner's house know how to indirectly attack the homeowner and wait for an opportunity to kill them. Puka. Amorphous creatures that kill a homeowner's pet and take its place. Relatively harmless, mostly just scaring the owner to death with the pet's bizarre behavior. Besides, the real animal's corpse, if not disposed of properly, can rot and cause disease. Spriggan. Humanoid creatures covered in leaves that attack humans if they harm plants. Witch ghost, the residual image of a sorcerer. Harmless, but often moves the homeowner's belongings and frightens them with the image of a hideous old man in the mirror. Neighbor's gate. A structure like a normal door, but anyone who passes through will experience problems like personality changes or memory loss. Well, I wonder who the lucky person to experience these will be. A guy named Howard drew the Spriggan ticket. It seems the police had a hunch about his problem, asking if he mowed his lawn often or ate fruit out in the open. Obviously, he didn't know that's what angered the Spriggan and made it start following him. I honestly wanted to know what it would do to him, but because of the final evaluation, I sent him the information. The neighbor's gate got a girl named Jay. She somehow wandered through it and now didn't even know if the people she was living with were her real family, which is why she was made to call here. If I send the wrong answer, her family would probably lock her up in a mental hospital for the rest of her life. I wish I could witness that. The last client of the day had the good fortune of having her pet replaced by a puka. She ignored her new dog's strange behavior and was only focused on the rotting smell spreading through her house. The smell of your old dog, what else? This time, I sent her the correct answer. The thought of her discovering the decomposing corpse of her real dog was just delightful. Those were the jackpot winners I remember. I think I also intentionally sent the wrong answer to someone asking about some powder on a table, a gift from Hobbs, to trick them into provoking the creatures. That's probably why my final evaluation was only 84.6%. Oh well, at worst, The hops would just make the person eat all the gifts, or they'd turn into a boogeyman. Not that important. I had a strange feeling as I started today, as if it were the last day of the world. Maybe it was the mixed emotions of knowing that, pass or fail, this would be my last day of probation. My head was still in the clouds, and I'd been awake all night. I turned on the computer and was greeted by an email from the company, informing me that today I had to take a final test to determine if I would be hired. They had also unlocked the entire database for me right on the desktop. I skimmed through a few entries for show and then ignored it. I could just look again when a client called. Anyway, the system started up, but this time the interface was different. Specifically, the large square that usually displayed file information was covered by a huge image with a message, "Begin test," preventing me from searching as usual. So that was why the company opened the entire database for me to read. It was actually my final review session. Oh God. I cursed my own stupidity. A call came in, signaling the official start of the test. I trembled as I answered, but on the other end was a grotesque image, looking like an old man with a growling voice that was completely unintelligible. The only thing helping me understand what the creature was saying was the running text transcript. It asked me a direct question, like a riddle. I frantically clicked around the database area, but nothing appeared. I grew more furious with myself and started cursing out loud. With no other choice, I had to do what I could. My gut told me that if I gave up now, disaster would strike. Reading it carefully, the riddle wasn't too difficult. Many in number, high above, serving a queen. In this database, only bees fit that description. The second riddle, lifeless, small, serving another's purpose. I vaguely remembered something similar. Ah, that's right. The puppets. The third. I didn't understand any of it, except for the clue, water from the sky, which meant rain. I scoured the answers and found only one option. Rain fairy. So be it. I'd used the process of elimination from my multiple choice exam days. 3 questions passed smoothly, which lessened my fear, but I was still sweating buckets. The 4th, rotting death. Definitely the zombies. It must be. I hope it is. Please let it be. The 5th, making one lose their way. That could only be the labyrinth. The answer was wardrobe labyrinth. The 6th, I screamed in agony, as if someone had kicked the chair out from under me while a noose was around my neck. No impression, no memory at all. I scrolled up and down the list of answers several times, hoping it would just jump out at me, but no luck. And when there wasn't a single clue to find the answer to a multiple choice question, there was only one option left. Pick C for everything, which meant pick at random, the 7th. I know nothing. I know nothing. I wasn't screaming anymore. Now, I was just crying. I cried as if I were seeing myself in a coffin, about to be lowered into the grave. I sent the answer for the 8th question, waiting for the punishment to fall upon me. With every passing second, my heart pounded like footsteps approaching the guillotine. This was it. I didn't know why, but I just felt this would be the end, the final curtain call of my life. And then, my boss called me. Her eyes were green, and her smile was wider and more terrifying than anyone I had ever seen. She informed me that I had passed, and congratulated me on being accepted as a member of HSH. The transformation will begin now. The computer screen suddenly filled with static, the audio distorted, Carol transformed into a witch, and I lost consciousness. Please be not afraid. Come close. Congratulations on our new junior.